I pay 50 to 60% of what other real estate investors pay for the same houses. And it makes all the difference in my business. Now, I've flipped over 300 houses, and 90% plus of them I have bought using the methods that I'm about to teach you today. So stick with me. And I know you're probably thinking he's talking about sales. I am not. Precisely. I am not talking about sales. That is not the thing that makes the difference. That is the icing on the cake. Okay. It is great. You have to have some sales skills, but you are never going to talk somebody who doesn't want to sell their house into selling your house, especially at 50% of the value. And that's not even the business that you want to be in. You don't want to convince people or con people into selling something that they didn't want to sell in the first place. The key is that you want to find the right people. You know, my buddy was telling me that they were in Tijuana, I know, and they were coming out of the bar, and they would get tacos at this place every night. Best tacos they ever had. There was a line out the door for these tacos, or I guess in the street, because it was like an outdoor cart thing. And anyway, they were talking about best tacos I've ever had in my life. They went there during the daytime. And in the daytime, they weren't as hungry. They weren't drunk, obviously. So they were asking more questions. And I kid you not, they went around the back and realized there was actually dog that they were selling inside of these tacos. I know that's disgusting. And the moral of the story is not that you should try to buy houses from drunk people. It's that when you're drunk and hungry, all you want are some tacos. And even dog tacos seemed good to them, right? Okay, so the point is that you need to find the right sellers. You don't try to convince somebody that doesn't want to sell, that they're going to sell. You want to find the person that wants to sell and wants to sell to a person like you. Now, that's a really important thing for you to understand, that there's really two types of motivation for people to sell their house. Okay, one is highest price, okay? And then the other is headache relief or ease. So just think about this. You go to sell your car, right? And some of you are going to look up the Kelley Blue Book price and you're going to say, oh, private party, I can get 20 grand for that thing. And so you are going to go through all the trouble. You're going to take the pictures, you're going to clean it up, you're going to do showings, you're going to have random people off Facebook coming to your house, and you're willing to go through all that because what you care about is getting the highest price. Some of you, though, are like, ugh, tired of dealing with this thing. I want to get my new car right now. So I'm just going to go over to the dealership and get screwed and sell that thing for $12,000 to them. Happens all the time. In fact, some people don't even realize they're getting screwed. They're just getting their headache relieved. Okay, so that is the difference between selling your house on the market versus selling the house off market. This is also why I don't buy houses on the market, okay? Because the people who put their houses on there are willing to go through the pains that it takes to get the highest price possible. I want a good deal. I want to be the dealership that people bring their cars to get rid of their headache. Okay, now there are a couple ways to do that, and we're going to go through those. But first, there's a really important concept that you might have learned in your macroeconomics called supply and demand. And I know you're getting boring, but bear with me, because if you understand this, this is going to make the difference for you, probably not only in buying deals, but also getting better contractors and so on and so forth. But the idea is that when you go put your house on the market, okay, you go to Zillow or the MLS or whatever, what you are doing is you are trying to go to where there is the highest demand. You have a small supply, your house, and there is a big demand. Everybody who can type in Zillow.com can go look at your house and potentially buy your house. That is a humongous demand. Therefore, your small supply gets pushed up in price by the huge demand. That's a bad situation if you're on the demand side here. So what you want to do is squeeze the market, have less demand. All right, so this is the difference between being on the market where there's the most demand because it's the easiest to find your house. So some people, for example, they buy houses through wholesalers because there are less people who find those deals. You have to do a little bit of work to go find these wholesalers, and there's less people who want to buy houses off market, who have the ability to buy houses in cash, who have the ability to buy houses that are less than perfect right now and have to do work on them. So the market is smaller. You're probably not going to have a primary resident buying a house from a wholesaler. That means somebody that's going to live in the house. When a house is on the market, generally they can go get a loan from the bank, and that means that a lot of people can go buy that house. Big market equals big demand. Wholesalers, smaller market, smaller demand. But here's where the problem comes into play, okay, is even with the wholesalers, and by the way, if I haven't convinced you not to buy on the market yet, I'll get there, okay, but biggest problem with wholesalers is that they ultimately want to create more demand for their product, which is the house that they have to sell to investors like us. So what they're going to constantly be doing is not only be trying to find deals that they can get under contract, but also get more buyers that are going to buy those. And the more buyers, the more demand they get, the higher they can push up the prices. Okay, so I know because I had a wholesale company. When we first started wholesaling, we didn't have very many people to buy these houses. So we were doing things like, dude, I'll sell you the house for like a $2,000 fee. Just, I need to move it. And by the end, we were making $30,000, $40,000 rips off of one property because we had a humongous buyers list. And so at some point, the wholesaler becomes just like buying the house on the market. In fact, I think sometimes worse because they have grown a pool, a demand, a market of only real estate investors. And truly, most real estate investors, once they become grown up in the business, realize that only crappy deals come on the market, so I'm not even going to shop there. So actually there's a bigger demand and a bigger market for the wholesalers, and they push up their price, so ultimately you're not getting deals from them either. Now let me go back to realtors just really quick, or the real estate market. Yes, there's the whole market thing, but also generally, if they have a real estate agent, the real estate agent is going to tell them things smartly, like, hey, you got to clean up all that crap. You got to make it smell better in here. You got to clean all the trash out of the yard before you put it onto the market. And for those people, it costs them a lot of money to do it. It might cost them, let's say, $5,000 to do this clean up and clean out, get it ready, to get it on the market, whereas for you, it might only cost you $2,000. So that's even more money that you weren't able to pocket because of your efficiencies in the business. I'm off it right now. I think it sucks to buy houses through realtors. There are some strategies that work, okay, but they don't get you 50 to 60% off deals most of the time. You might get one in a blue moon, but what I'm trying to do is build a consistent. People call me to sell me their house on a consistent basis. I know exactly what levers that I need to pull to make sure that I'm getting these deals. You can't do that on the real estate market. You put in offers, you try to be quick, you do things like work the inspection resolution, and that's great. It's a lot of work, and you get good enough deals. I don't want good enough deals, because if I have just good enough deals, that means I need to focus really hard on making sure that the construction is perfect. I need to hit my timelines, because if I don't do that, other costs start adding up, and then a marginal deal quickly becomes a bad deal. But you see, when you buy houses at 50 to 60% off, you can mess up a lot of crap, which I do all the time, and problems can come up, which they do all the time, and I'm still covered. Got a lot of safety. You see, the key to real estate, the true thing that separates the pros from the amateurs, is that you, A, get great deals. And the day that you buy the house, you are in the money. Meaning that if I bought the house for $100,000 today, I could sell it for $101,000 tomorrow in a fire sale. fast sale. I could make a call and have it sold. Okay. Better if it's like 120,000, but you get the point. You're always in the money. And as you progress the construction, you are always in the money. It's not that, oh, okay, well, it's worth $100,000 today, but I got to tear all this crap out and it's going to be worth $50,000 before I make it worth way more. No, I'm out of the money. When I start tearing it up, I'm out of the money, and that means that my risk is super high. So the key to being a pro real estate investor is get great deals, always be in the money, be prepared for the problems that are absolutely going to come up. So realtors suck, wholesalers suck. Ultimately, sometimes you get lucky and you get a newbie that hasn't built a buyer's list and is actually good enough. You see, because if they haven't built their buyer's list and they're new, usually they suck at getting actual deals. So they're paying what you might pay on the market anyway. But let's just say that you have found the 1 in 1,000 that is both new and good enough to get deals. Okay, you'll get a couple deals from them. I used to farm for these guys all the time, and I would get some deals, but eventually what happens is they figure it out. Their buyer's list grows, so do their prices. Okay, so if you're on the market, you're constantly working. You're working the angles to try to find these deals. If you're buying from wholesalers, you're constantly working these angles to figure this stuff out. Okay, so if I'm gonna have to put in that work, I want something that I own, that I control, that I can turn the faucet on and off and know that I can get deals on a consistent basis. So that means that you have to become the wholesaler. What wholesalers do is they find deals off market. They're constantly working leads. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about, but they're working these things and they're getting these $100,000 houses for $50,000 or $60,000, and then they're saying to you, you can buy it for $100,000. They're making the spread. You just need to go, instead of put your effort in to work these guys, put your effort in to become these guys and get those deals. You don't have to wholesale it though. You buy it. In fact, I don't really like wholesaling after doing it for a long time. I think I made a video on that. But anyway, now you have the deal. So how do you go get the deal? 5 steps. Okay, for one, is you have to, and if these words bore you, dang it, stay with me. It's important, okay? These steps are all important. Number 1 is you have to truly decide what the hell you want to buy, okay? A lot of you guys are going to be, you're going to say things like, because I used to say things like this, that, oh, well, I buy anything that's a deal. Well, no, I don't actually. There are, like, just think about going to the car dealership. I'm not like a car guy, by the way, at all. I don't know why I keep using car analogies, but they're really easy because everybody understands them. Okay, I go to the car dealership and I go to the car salesman and I'm like, I want truck. They're gonna be like, okay, dude, sounds like you're gonna be a total waste of my time. And also I'm gonna waste a lot of my time trying to figure things out. Versus if I go there and say, hey, I want like the 2017 to 2021 version of the Ford F-250. You know, I like the blah, 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 and the blah, da, 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 da. And okay, that guy's going to be a lot more helpful for me because he's going to know I'm a serious buyer. I'm a research buyer. Okay, and that applies if you're like talking to a wholesaler or a realtor for your buy box. But it also applies because if you don't know your buy box, if you don't know exactly what you want, you're going to spend a lot of time and effort spinning your wheels for something that doesn't return for you. Okay, and that is what leads into haystack. Okay, how you find the needle in a haystack. And before I get into the haystack, I want to go back to the buy box really quick. Basically, the buy box is all about neighborhoods. Okay, there are zip codes where you live. All right, you live inside of your county, and this county has zip codes inside of it. Okay, but you can't pick a zip code as a buy box because a zip code has way too many, like you go from one street to the next and there's differences. Okay, so you have to pick neighborhoods. And the thing about it is you need to know whether that neighborhood is trending up in price. You need to understand if the county that you're in is trending up in price. You need to understand what the houses are in that neighborhood. You need to understand what they sell for. You need to understand what the median year built is, what the median size is, what the look is in those neighborhoods. You need to look at what sold in those neighborhoods to see what renovation level you're doing, construction comps. And that helps you decide what types of houses you're going after. Okay, so you look at the buy box of a neighborhood, and that's where you laser focus just on that neighborhood. And over time, you build more and more neighborhoods. So you might start with just a few neighborhoods that you know really well. You know exactly what things sell for, exactly what to expect in a renovation. And now when you are talking to potential sellers, you know without having to look crap up exactly what you want out of that. Okay, and I actually have a tool for you guys. It's going to be in the description. It's a free neighborhood analyzer. It's going to do all of this for you automatically. I'm just going to show you really quick here. It does this. Here's what it's going to tell me. This is one of the neighborhoods that I send marketing to. Okay, it's going to show me all the recent comps. It's going to tell me the sales price and the price per square foot. Okay, so now I know that houses in this neighborhood are going to sell for around $157 to $100 per foot. So now if I have a house that is right around the median, which is $1,347 in that neighborhood, so I have let's say a 1,500 square foot house, I know that it's going to sell for around $160 per square foot. So I know $240,000 is what I'm looking at as an after repair value for that house. Great, right? And if I look here, I can see that this fits in with what this price spread shows me. Okay, and I'm going to fix it up so it is going to be on the higher end. And to verify what a house fixed up looks like, I'm going to go to the sold price here. Let's look at some of these nicer houses. Okay, here you go. This is what is expected out of me in a house like this or in a neighborhood like this. Okay, not only that, but I'm going to be able to see the median price of that neighborhood versus the county that I'm in. Okay, and if you watch a lot of my content, you know that I like to buy houses that are just under or right at the median. I don't want to be way over. I don't do a lot of A-class, really nice flips because I think there's a lot of risk in that. Okay, but also I want to know the owner occupancy of that neighborhood. So if I'm flipping, I want to see that there's a lot of owner occupants. That means that people want to get a loan and go live in that neighborhood because that's how you're going to get the highest and best prices for a flip house. Okay, so you can see the neighborhood trends here as well. So I can see that this neighborhood versus the county has performed 13% better over the last 5 years. I can see that the county that I'm in, obviously, is performing better than the US. That's why I moved here. Okay, and that's good. That's good for me. I know that I'm in an upward trending neighborhood. Great. Okay. Whereas this one, you can see that the neighborhood is starting to trend down. This is a different neighborhood here, and I haven't actually pulled the comps for this one yet. Okay, you get the idea. Now let me move on to what you need to do to make sure that once you've decided on the neighborhood that you want to be in, you now need to build a list. You need to find the needle in a haystack is what we would say here. And here is exactly how I do it. Okay. It's not as simple as, okay, I've decided on selling to this neighborhood or, marketing to this neighborhood. It's not as simple as I'm just going to reach out to everybody there. I have to reach out to the right people because there's a couple different problems that happens if I don't do that. For one, I can filter out a whole bunch of them, right? I have, let's say, 1,500 people in a neighborhood. And I put them through this funnel where I filter out all kinds of people. I add all kinds of filters. I only want the people that are like this. I only want houses that are specifically this. I only want motivators like tax delinquencies or owner liens or vacant properties. There's hundreds of different motivators. But anyway, I can stack all of these up, but then I go through this funnel and I only have like 10 people left. Well, that's no good. That's not enough people to market to. And truly, if I put all these filters on, okay, this is what every other competitor has done. So they're calling or reaching out to or mailing or whatever outbound they're doing, which we're going to get to in a second. Everybody is talking to these same 10 people. So what you can do instead is you broaden up your squeeze a little bit. So now I have 1,500, and let's just, whatever the math is, I have 1,200 of those. I've only filtered out a small percentage of those people. Well, now I'm either wasting time or money trying to reach out to these 1,200 people that most likely are never going to sell to me. That's not good either. Okay, so here's what I do. You're going to love this. Basically, it's like this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this neighborhood. For easier math, let's say there's 1,000 people in this neighborhood. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run them through a buy box. Okay, I'm going to say that in this neighborhood, okay, let's look at this neighborhood right here. And I'm going to say, okay, well, the median square footage is this in this particular neighborhood. The median year built is this. The neighborhood median price is this. And multiple other factors that tell me, well, this is what a house looks like here. And I don't want to market to houses that don't look like that. I chose this neighborhood because I like what the median looks like. I don't want all these outliers, all this fluff. I don't want to waste my time or money marketing to those people. So I go through the buy box filter. And let's say after that, I have 700 people. Okay, and now I say, well, I don't want to just market to anybody, okay, because not just anybody is a seller. So then I break it up into 4 different buckets. Okay, bucket 1 is going to be owner occupants. These are people that live in the house themselves. Then 2 are landlords. These are people who rent their house to somebody else. And then I'm going to say heirs. These are people who have been given a house, probably handed down to them. And then there are flippers, okay? And of course, we're not marketing to flippers directly. You're going to see what we do here. All right, so we take these 700 and we run them through, depending on what they are, through these buckets. Okay, these buckets also have more filters on them. Like, I wouldn't want to send somebody marketing who has bought a house 6 months ago. Okay, they're not gonna want to sell to me. They just bought it. They're not going to be able to sell to me anyway, because if I'm trying to get a great deal on a house, how could they possibly sell to me at a great deal if they just bought the house? They don't have the skills that I have to get those houses. So it's likely that they're never going to even be able to sell me the house. Now, that example, just really quick, obviously a flipper has bought the house within, a 3 to 5 year period. That is a different thing, which we're going to get to in just a second. But also things like, I don't want to market to somebody who owns more than 3 houses because they're investing just like me. That would not make sense unless it was a specific campaign. Okay, so these all get filtered through these different filters. I have about 10 of them for each one of these audiences. Now, after that, let's say that we have just 100 people for each of those, probably less for the heirs, less for the flippers. There's actually probably more for the owner occupants, definitely in the neighborhood that I just showed you, which has 72% owner occupants. There's going to be more that fit the parameters once we move through there. But this is the key, okay? Like we talked about before, what you might do is stack a bunch of motivators, okay? And motivators are going to be things like a vacant mailing address. Okay, that means that USPS tried to send them a piece of mail multiple times and it's not getting through to them. So the Postal Service has said that this is a vacant house. Okay, now I'm not going to send that to the owner occupant because if they have vacant mail and they're the ones living there, they're not going to be getting the mail. So that would be a stupid funnel to run that person through. Okay, but the landlord who has a different mailing address, their mailing address is good, but the person or lack thereof living in their rental house is not answering mail. So I know that they have some motivation to sell. So this one is going through there. Now, I might have a tax delinquency for 2 years. They haven't paid their taxes in 2 years. Okay, that motivator would apply to each one of these people, right? Actually, sorry, that's a different bucket. I'm going to run this list through there. I'm going to run this list through there. I'm going to run this list through there. And anyway, I have 49 different motivators like this. There's like owner liens against them personally. People who had a loan and the loan just increased in interest because they had a variable interest rate on it. Landlords who are evicting a tenant, code violations, etc., etc., etc. So I am funneling these lists based on the motivation through each one of these. So each one of these gets so many people. Let's say there's 5 people in that funnel, this one, 20 people. And I'm going to find out later that, maybe 3 of these were duplications. And I'll just, of course, not send 3 different pieces of marketing to the same person. But after all this, I take all of these lists and I combine them. Okay, so now in a given neighborhood, I might have 130 people, but I know that these are the needle in haystacks for that neighborhood. Those are the people that are most likely to sell a house to somebody because they don't have the motivator of get highest price. They have the motivator of I want to get rid of this headache. I found the different headaches. Okay, now we have outbound. That's the next step. So we have buy box, we figured that out. The building the list, the needle in the haystack. And then we have the outbound. We need to take that list and we need to tell them, hey, I'm a guy that can buy your house. I can do it with cash and I can do it quickly. Okay, there are different options to do this. You could cold call, you could SMS, you could text, you could run ads. Ads are a little bit harder because you can actually find the names of these people and their phone numbers and their email addresses. It's hard to send ads to them directly using things like Meta and Google Ads. You can use lookalike audiences, but in this case, I don't want a lookalike audience. I want that exact audience. Okay, so really my options now have come down to email, cold phone calls, cold text messages, or direct mail. I'll just tell you right now, SMS texting used to be friggin' awesome, like 4 or 5 years ago, but the carriers have kind of shut it down. It's on a very legal teeter on whether it's legal or not to send those text messages. Also, cold calling has a lot of rules against it, and so there's cold emailing. And I really would prefer not to have to figure out the laws to make sure that I am in the right, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have something that is consistent and is just a faucet that I turn on and off whenever I want to. So if there's something that I'm getting chased by the law for, even if I am on the right side of it, well, it's only a matter of time before that changes. And I don't want to sit there and have to look at all the laws that come out, and obviously they're making the laws for a reason because, well, people hate that crap. Okay, so yes, mail is the way that I do things. And yes, when you send mail to people, sometimes you're going to get calls. In fact, 50% or better of your calls are going to be, hey, F you, stop sending me mail. But I'm telling you, they're a heck of a lot less aggressive than when you are outbound cold calling somebody and you get them on the phone. They are pissed. Most of them are pissed. It's a lot of work. It is cheaper because once you buy a list, you have their phone numbers. Yes, some of them go stale, but you can keep working that list. But I'm telling you, it's a young man's game, that's for sure. And it is a way to start. No doubt. Okay, so I choose mail because I set up, what's called my home base. I have a local phone number, I have a website, and that way I can send out mail and they get a QR code on it. They can scan, go to my website that shows I'm a real person, not one of these fake people sending them cold emails or whatever. They can see that I have a local phone number. They can call me, and it is a nice handwritten message, digitally handwritten message with nice fronts. And basically it works like this. The right front of postcard makes them turn it over. The handwriting does something mentally that makes people like you more. And I know this because when I A/B test, which I A/B test everything, when I send non-handwritten versus handwritten, the FU calls are different. It's FU, don't call me, when I send non-handwritten. And when I send handwritten, I get, hey, will you please take me off your list? And I think that's a metric that matters. And then the copy itself is what gets them to call you. Okay, that's the writing in it itself is what gets them to actually take the action of either calling you, scanning the QR code, texting you, whatever it might be. And so first is, you see, I send out this stuff and then they come to me. And you know that people aren't stupid. Okay, so if they see a postcard that says, I want to buy your house in cash, they know that I'm not giving them the highest price. They know that the trade-off is he buys in cash, he takes care of the headaches. Okay, so that means that the people that do reach out to me, other than the FU calls, are people who want to deal with a person like me. Okay, so way less bandwidth, and then they call me. And so I'm telling you that, yes, I might send out 1,000 postcards, and only a small handful of those are actual qualified leads, not the FU people, actual people who have seen it and want to work with me. Okay, but those are the hottest leads I could possibly get. They know what I do, and they have called me. And so I go on very few appointments, and I close almost all of them because they know exactly what I'm doing already. And yes, there is sales, but it is the peak of the iceberg. It's the tip of the iceberg. The rest is making sure you're in the right neighborhood, the right buy box, and you're marketing to the right people. And yes, the right way with the right type of mail. Okay, so I A/B test everything. I A/B test what it says. I A/B test the different handwriting variations. I A/B test the fronts. I use 45 different ones depending on the audience. I use different handwriting styles depending on the audience. On the motivator, I use different copy. Those things are important, and I'm always testing one or the other. Next is the follow-up. Okay, so good sales, I always thought was like a negotiator, like you get in a room and you're going to convince these people of something. Okay, but I have later found that sales is two things. It's half negotiation, what we're talking about, get somebody in a room and convince them, and half is follow-up. Okay, most people get hit one time and they're done. Okay, so you need to, every inbound from your outbound, every call or QR code or form that gets filled out on your website, it needs to be tracked so you can follow up with them, because something brought their excitement level up to take that first step. Okay, so basically the excitement level has to be at a peak for you to make a sale. And it was high enough to call you or text you or whatever. Okay, but then time passed. As time passes, that excitement goes down. So that's why every sales team is going to tell you the speed to the lead is one of the most important metrics. That's because that excitement level wears off over time. And you need to follow up with them, because by the time you call them back, their excitement level might not have reached the threshold that it takes for them to answer your call, right? So you need to wait. You need to keep following up, because one day it's going to be high enough again. You hope. Okay. It might have only gotten there that one time. But anyway, in the sales process, which we're not going to go through today, basically you're getting that higher and higher and higher until you get to the very end. That I am going to teach you how to do. in my free, for now, school community, which is also linked in the description. So go there. We're starting weekly live trainings on just this stuff because there is nothing more important to your success as a real estate investor than getting great deals. Finally, the last thing here, so the buy box, the needle in a haystack, the outbound mail, the follow-up to the leads that are in your CRM, customer relationship management system, could be as simple as a spreadsheet, could be something more. And hopefully you guys went and downloaded that free tool I have for you. I actually built a CRM into there as well for you if you want to use it. And finally, the last thing is repeat. Okay, so marketing works because they see it multiple times. So it's not like you send a piece of marketing out, whether it's mail or a cold call or whatever, and it's one and done. No, you have this list. Okay, you spend a lot of time making the list because you're going to keep hitting that list month after month after month after month. That is branding in marketing, right? They're used to seeing your stuff coming at them. And the excitement thing that I was talking about, okay, today they might get your letter and their excitement level is down here. They don't care, whatever. But something happens next month and now they're here and they're like, oh, you know what? I remember that guy. Saw his postcard last time. I love that thing. They sent the, version 05, version 1.2 and love that thing. I remember him. I'm going to go ahead and scan this QR code, go to their website, and I'm going to reach out. Great. That is how deals are made. It is a process that you should be focusing on all the time, guys. The deal is that most people think that it is like construction. Everybody thinks they need to start a construction company. And I got to say, I did the same thing. I have a construction company because I thought that that's what you needed to do. And it wasn't until I walked into a house that had literal human crap in the middle of the living room that I bought for $21,000. Bought this house for $21,000, did like a $30,000 repair on it because after I cleaned up the human crap, which was disgusting, there were also needles and adult toys all over the place, mattresses, you get the picture here. Okay, but once I cleaned that stuff up, it was simply a cleanup job and then, like a $30,000 renovation. So I have $50,000 into the deal, maybe 60. The thing appraises for over $180,000 right after that. Get a tenant in there for, mid thousands. Phenomenal deal. Guys, just ask yourself, if you got a deal like that, would that make everything easier? Yes, certainly. Way easier than anything else. Then you can be a little crappy on contracting. You can be a little crappy on your interest rate. You can be a little crappy in a lot of places, and I'm really crappy at a lot of things because I'm not paying attention, because I don't have to, because I'm paying attention to getting the deals on the front end, because that makes all the difference. That's what I want for you guys. Like I said, there is a free, for now, school community in the description. I made this neighborhood analyzer for you. Check it out, guys. It's free for you, not free for me, because I want you to see what it looks like in the neighborhoods that you want to buy in. All you got to do is put in an address, and from the address, it is going to find the neighborhood that surrounds that address. This is exactly how I am marketing to people. This is how I'm getting deals. I need you to do it too. Talk to you later.